All right, welcome. The appropriate time, 3 o'clock. We'll call a meeting to order. This meeting was being streamed live through the St. Clair Township website. By attending a public meeting of council, you are consenting to your image, voice, and comments being recorded and published to the Township website. Anyone who is invited to speak will be recorded, and their voice, image, and comments will form part of the live stream and public record. Land acknowledgement. We acknowledge that this land on which we are gathered today is part of the ancestral land of the Chippewa, Ottawa, and Potawatomi peoples, referred to collectively as the Anishinaabe. It is through the connection of the Anishinaabe with the spirit of the land, water, and air that we recognize their unique cultures, traditions, and values. Together as treaty people, we have shared responsibility to act with respect for the environment that sustains all life, protecting the future for those generations to come. So pecuniary interest, if anyone has one now, they can declare it or wait. Before we get going here, we'd like to join with all of Canada to mourn the dead and injured in Tumbler Ridge mass shooting. I'd like to take a moment of silence to remember. Time it, John. Okay, thank you. I hope we never have to do that again. Adoption of the minutes, regular council meeting, February 17th, 2026. Do we have a mover? Councillor Langstaff. Second, Councillor Myers. Councillor Langstaff, did you have some?
Yes, through the mayor, I would like if we could revisit 8.3, the fire life cycle repayment schedule. And if I could move that we discontinue our current path, Appendix B, and move to Appendix D to eliminate our large negative in the reserves, 41%, or a $3.4 million reduction by 2028 by replacing our frontline equipment at 20 years instead of 15, our tankers, rescues at 25 instead of 20. We'd be more fiscally responsible while not lowering our level of service. This is why I would like a seconder on the motion, Mr. Mayor. Following that, I would ask for a recorded vote.
Okay, got that. Let's call the first question first. All those in favor of the first motion? Carried. Just received. All right, does anybody have anything on the second one? Deputy Mayor.
Yeah, I'd like to ask the fire chief, what's the penalty for us if we do that, chief?
Your worship, to the council, to the deputy mayor there, I have correspondence here from the fire underwriter survey that says that if we exceed 20 years of life expectancy on the tankers, we will lose the credit that we gain for our insurance ratings. They are good up to 20 years. Anything over 20 years are unrated. So the rescue trucks, you can take them to 25 years. They're not in the issue, but tankers and pumpers are on 20 years maximum life.
Thank you.
And from my understanding, the tankers are more for the rural properties than the in-town?
Yes, your worship, they're for the rural area. And the report that was tabled here, I was going to speak more to it about the importance of getting the tanker shuttle accreditation for our rural residents, because then they can pick up hydrant protected rate in the rural area and on average find the 30% savings in their insurance policies with the right company.
Go ahead.
Thank you, through the mayor. Our fuzz report and the SSTS report states that the rescues and tankers can be extended up to 25 years without losing any accreditation. Therefore, we also have not ever got them fuzz rated, so technically the cost would be zero because we've never got them rated. I've also, through my own research, never once ever seen an insurance company lower an insurance rate on a house or property, et cetera, supported by numerous phone calls to numerous insurance companies over the past weeks that we've received this. I don't believe we can say there's going to be a cost with that at all.
Are you not finished with your research on this yet?
No, Your Worship, because one quote here that I have from the underwriter says that, however, if a community intentionally operating on a 25-year replacement schedule, we have no option but to unrecognize any apparatus beyond 25 years of age. Again, this would most likely result in a downgrade of increased fire insurance and premiums. The reason you cannot get a quote from an agent here for our area in Lambton County is that we're not rated. Once you're rated, you call an insurance company, you can do it. I had my agent check, and I'm to the point that because I've hydrant protected rate where I live in Corunna, I save $183. The agent has told us, and I used other places with the rating, they're up to 30% savings. So yes, if you call a local agent here, they cannot do it because my agent tried to do it, and because we're not in the system with an accredited tanker shuttle, it doesn't do it. So we've never had the shuttle rating. I don't know why. Other communities have had it for 20 years, but I feel it's contingent upon us to be able to provide our rural residents that are within 8 kilometers of a station to be able to get that rate premium savings.
Councilor Brown?
With all due respect, I know the chief has his report under 8.7 tonight. I would take Councillor Langstaff's motion as a notice of motion to be dealt with at a later date.
Are you okay with that, Councilor Langstaff?
Is that like later this evening after we receive the tabled report from the previous meeting?
We should at least listen to the chief's report on that item, and then, like I say, what happens with your motion could be, either dealt with or tabled, like I say.
I would like to find out more about.
I would consider moving my motion to the end of the meeting. I think the 3.4 million in savings by 2028 is a massive thing that we need to handle. Our insurance company cannot confirm what the chief's saying. So I'm going by what information I have at hand.
Go ahead, Deputy Mayor.
I'm going to make a motion, we table that motion until we have the facts from the chief.
We have a seconder for that. Councilor Brown? Okay, any on that? All those in favor? Opposed? 1, 2, 3. Are you 4? Okay. Motion lost. We'll call this one now. Should we call this one now? Wait till the end.
Unless he wants to voluntarily, we have to call it out.
You want to call it now, then? Okay. Anybody else on Councilor Langstaff's motion? Sorry about the voice tonight. I'm a little bit out. Go ahead.
Through the mayor, I was one who tabled that motion of the report. And the same thing, I've been trying and reaching out to different fire departments, as well as my own, but plus throughout Ontario, and I can't support it as well. So I agree with your motion, Brad.
Okay, call the vote. I think somebody wanted to record a vote.
Okay.
Go ahead, John.
Recorded vote. Councillor Langus? Yes. Councillor Myers? Yes. Councillor Langstaff?
Yay.
Councillor Brown? No. Councillor Foster?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor? No. Mayor Agar?
No.
That motion is carried.
Okay. All right, carry on. Be it resolved that the January 2026 minutes and reports of the Moore Museum Committee be accepted and approved. Have a mover for that. Councillor Langus. Second. Councillor Foster. Any questions on this? All those in favor, oh, sorry, Councillor Brown. I'm sorry.
Thank you, Mayor Egger. Just a comment, I'm glad to see that the staff is looking at their Brigden storage. It's good to see that closet clean-out occur up there at the Brigden Memorial Hall, where they have a lot of artifacts that they're not sure what they're going to do with, right?
Okay, all those in favor? Carried. Carry on. The Environment and Education Fund was originally designed to be used for the environment concerns and kids projects. This fund is made up by tipping fees given to the township, not from the revenue stream. We just received our last installment, and it was extra revenue on this account. So I, as mayor, I propose that we take $1 million off the E&E fund and we turn it over to the pool project. This proposal is coming from me. Does not add 1 cent to the revenue portion. There will still be about 1.6 million in that fund at the end. Would somebody like to make a motion for that? Seeing as I can't. Deputy Mayor, second. Councillor Langus. Any questions? All those in favor? Carried. So now we go back up here to 610. Public meeting, zoning bylaw amendment application. Ian, I will let you take it away, sir. Should. Okay, the public meeting will proceed as follows. The planner will present his report and recommendations on the application. Members of the public and the applicant will have an opportunity to speak on the proposal. The planner will respond to any questions asked by the public and members of council. Council will make its decision. Ian, are you ready to present your report? There you go.
Okay. Mayor and council, members of the public, there's 2 public hearings. First one is associated with what they call a surplus farm dwelling. This property was at 1532 Kerr line, and this application was heard back in 2022. And as one of the conditions of severance, you have to fulfill all the conditions within 2 years. This is the property for the location, so you can familiarize yourself with the property that's at discussion. This is the map that was presented and discussed at the first, what they call a committee of adjustment meeting. At that time, it had a larger acreage for the severed portion. When this was done in 2022, we changed our official plan in December of 2024, changing the areas for the severed portion and the retained portion. It is now capped at 2 acres. So when the Committee of Adjustment heard the application on the second time, they made a recommendation to acknowledge or respect that change that was made to the official plan. That's why I've included the decision from the Committee of Adjustment. The second condition, that the proposed severed lot has an area that does not exceed 0.8 hectares or 1.97 acres. So nothing else has changed with this application since the first time it was heard. That lot now has been adjusted to 2 acres, and it'll be add on to the retained portion. And that will follow the recommendation or the guidance of the Committee of Adjustment. So that's for that application.
Okay, do we have any written submissions?
No.
Does anyone wish to speak in opposition? That don't happen very often. Is the applicant or agent present, and do they wish to speak? Are there any final questions from the members of council or the planner? Okay, so I declare the public meeting closed. Council is called back to order. Can I have a motion on the application? Councilor Myers. Sup, seconder. Councilor Langstaff. All those in favor? Carried. Thank you, Ian.
Break.
So now we'll go to number 2. Same thing, public meeting will proceed as follows. The planner will present his report and recommendation on this application. Members of the public and the applicant will have an opportunity to speak on the proposal. The planner will respond to any questions asked by the public and members of council. Council will make its decision. Go ahead, sir.
Thank you, Mayor and Council, and members of the public. This is the location map for the site for anybody in the audience that's not familiar with the site or has not followed all the steps that have been taken place so far. This is the former school site on Murray Street. The school itself has been demolished. Earlier, there was a proposal to have medical offices, and the balance of the land would be semi-detached homes. The medical building has been completed. There's been changes in plans as far as the housing and the housing type. So I just wanted to give a kind of a chronology of events that have taken place so people have a better understanding. So the first thing that we did was we passed what's called a deeming bylaw, because the property is on what they call a registered plan of subdivision, and it has lots and it has blocks. And by having a deeming bylaw, it allowed the flexibility of deeming or of dealing with the land as partial lots or partial blocks. It used to be the part that where the medical office is, it was zoned, designated by the official plan as residential and zoned institutional. We changed the part where the medical building, we changed the official plan designation to have that as commercial. Likewise, we changed the zoning to match what the official plan has for that land use. And that is a practice that is a requirement in the province where the zoning must reflect what the official plan designation is. As part of that, when the next step would have been the creation of what they call a site plan, which is a kind of a layout or a snapshot of everything on the site. That would be drainage, vehicle movement, landscaping, things like that. And as part of that site plan review, we take another review of what they call the development standards in the zoning bylaw, and that is the setbacks, parking requirements, height of building, things like that. And as part of that review, it came to the forefront that there was insufficient parking. And what we did, because they wanted to move ahead with the medical building separate from the residential component, we issued what they call a temporary parking permit over part of the land. I think it's shown in the next. It's not identified in the site, but the temporary parking was in this area here. So that has been, that was passed by council, but now that permit has expired, and so before the zoning can actually change, we have to deal with that as well. That's going to be a separate application in next month's meeting. So that leaves the balance of the land for dealing with the residential. So as part of the review, we reviewed the policies from the provincial policies. We looked at the county official plan. We reviewed the township's official plan and determined that the property itself, the vacant land, is probably underutilized. This area is what they call a settlement area, and the settlement areas are defined or characterized by having existing services. So this is the kind of site where you would put a development like this. The fact that it is serviced, the fact that it's in our downtown proximity in Corona, it's a good opportunity to develop the site, and I think it's a fair statement to say that there can be a better use of the vacant land. It's a question of what we're going to put there. Residential use is actually another reasonable choice. So what it boils down to is the type of housing, the design of the housing, if that would be acceptable. There was benefits in having a project like this in downtown Corona. It's proposed to have 87 apartments. And for Corona, it's good because the county sets out targets, housing targets, that each municipality should have as far as the number of housing units. And they are currently under review. And the initial review shows that there is a shortage of housing in St. Clair Township. So by building a project like this, it would help to reduce that number of housing that is needed in St. Clair Township. Other benefits would bring, it would probably increase, pedestrian movement in the downtown area. 87 units, they could support the local businesses that currently exist in Corona. So the issue or the decision is this is what's proposed. This is a kind of a 3D drawing of it. You can see Murray Street. Enter onto the property. It's mostly parking. There's a 6-story building at the far end with vegetation. It's worthwhile noting that this design, or the spatial arrangement or layout of the site has been changed a couple of times since it was originally proposed to us. The building was at a different location. We moved it back so it would be abutting the commercial and not the residential. So there would be a separation barrier between the existing residential houses on the north side of, that are fronting onto Pageant Street, and likewise the houses on Murray Street. We tried to get the design so it would be further away from the existing housing that currently exists. That was a previous one was a 3-dimensional. This is a 2-dimensional. You can see also we had this reviewed in-house by other staff members. It was reviewed by the fire department, and they're satisfied with the emergency route that was shown on the plan. They have access to the building, all around the building if there's an emergency. The footprint at one time of the building covered a bigger area, but we made it smaller, so there'd be more room for parking. There's a fence around the perimeter of the property. There's vegetation. The one exception, or what they call variance that they're looking for in this application, is usually we calculate our parking by 1.5 per unit, and they asked for a reduction on that. We calculated at 1.25, which reduces the number of required parking spaces by 21. I think that is pretty well covers everything. I think, again, just kind of a recap or to repeat myself, I think that the site can have a better use. Residential is a reasonable suggestion. It's a question of, can we make adjustments, or can we come to an agreement on the type of housing, the density of the housing, and the overall layout of the site. If the site is, or if the bylaw is proposed, is accepted, the next step would be they would go to what they call a site plan review, and where we look at the design of the site in more detail. So that's the end of the presentation on that one.
Do we have any written submissions?
We do?
Usually I don't shut it off. Do we have any written submissions, Ian? Sorry.
Yes, we do.
Okay, 4 against?
It was 2 against and 1 for.
Okay. Jordan, would you like to speak now? Thanks, Ian.
Thank you, Your Worship. Good evening, you and council, staff, and members of public that are here tonight. My name is Jordan Folkens. I'm a planning consultant at BM Ross and Associates Limited, who's been retained by Venturis, who's planning on developing this apartment building. I'd like to thank Ian for his presentation, as well as for Township and council staff. We have worked with them a lot before we got to this point. As Ian said, we have made certain revisions to address some of the concerns and comments that came up during the previous, or the comments from Township and county staff. I won't go over too much because Ian covered a lot of the major planning points off. But the site is vacant. As you can see on the screen, the pictures on the right shows the site right now. And it's also along, like Ian said, along the commercial corridor on Linden Dock Street. So when you're looking at residential intensification, there is a number of criteria that needs to be met, both by the province as well as in the municipal official plans. And this we did find as a ideal site. One, it's fully serviced. You don't have to extend any infrastructure to service this site, which makes good use of municipal infrastructure that's in place. 2, you can kind of see the buffer lines on the map on the screen, but it's within walking distance of a number of commercial facilities, parkland, the waterfront, which is something we want to see. We want to create walkable communities that are fully serviced. So for those reasons, we really feel that it is appropriate. Now, getting into the site design, one thing that we really wanted to be careful about is to protect the stability of the residential area that surrounds it. So to the west is the commercial uses along Linden Dock Street, and to the south is the OPP station and the church property, as well as commercial property. So what we wanted to do is move the building as far west as possible. Want to develop an angular plane, which is more of a planning term. We want to be further away from residential properties than the height of the building. This would address any shadowing, privacy concerns. It's something that we use in land use planning to try to mitigate those sort of impacts. Look at the site, as Ian said, there are 87 proposed dwelling units. It's in a 6-story building, and there would be 109 parking spaces provided. Now, there would also be bicycle parking provided. Venturis operates a couple of other apartment buildings in the area, and they have a really good idea of what the needs are for vehicle parking as well as bicycle parking. And something that they're really encouraging is people to walk and to bike. As Ian showed you before, here's a rendering of the building. As I said, it'd be back at the rear section of the property. The trees are really conceptual at this stage. As Ian said, there will be a site plan review if this were to be approved tonight. And there is a landscape architect that has been retained to provide more detailed drawings, tree species, and that sort of thing. So a couple of the important points will be the landscape strips that are adjacent to the residential properties as well as to the streetscape. And I mentioned some shadow studies. We try to move the building as far west as we thought was feasible. And you can note that there will be minimal impact on shadowing to the west and to the east, and very little to the north as well. One thing that Ian didn't touch on is we did submit a large number of studies in support of this application. Not only was the plan justification report by myself, but we had our engineers provide a functional service report that shows that the municipal infrastructure can service this site and the 87 units. There's also a traffic brief that was completed by R.C. Spencer and Associates. They look at the road network, which they determined would still operate at an acceptable level of service. They also looked at the parking according to their manuals, and they could support the 1.25 parking ratio. There's also environmental site assessments that got done, as well as the site and shadow study, which I mentioned, and the elevations and floor plans and site plan, which you've seen today. So to summarize, again, I appreciate everything that county planner has said. I do agree. I feel it's consistent with the PPS and conforms with the official plan for the County of Lambton and the Township of St. Clair, and does represent good planning. Thank you.
Thank you. Does anyone wish to speak in opposition to this application? If you do, when you come up to the microphone, say your name and your address, and try not to, if there's a bunch, try not to repeat the same ones, try to keep them. Yep. Can you hit the little disc on the bottom so the red light comes on? There you go. Perfect.
So we live at 195 Paget Street, so according to those plans, the end of the building will be 24 meters from our backyard. We have, first of all, we didn't receive the letter. We heard from some neighbors about it. So we're definitely opposed for it because it's gonna take away the privacy of our own backyard. We're not gonna be able to, plus the shadowing, even though they say it's gonna be minimal, 6 stories high, is gonna be shadowing our whole backyard. Since the start of the project, we have had sewer damage, like water runs constantly into our backyard. Like I believe we sent Jeff videos of it before. So the drainage isn't properly done. We are already suffering parking issues from Murray Street and on Paget Street with Bad Dog being right there and not having enough spots for Bad Dog. Then you have Home Hardware that has no parking spaces for their employees, and they park all up Paget Street as well. It's sometimes, and then when you get deliveries, the truck blocks our driveway. We've had to go out and ask them to move so we can get out. So parking's gonna be an issue if they don't have enough parking for the building itself. Right now, in today's economy, it's a 2-car family in order to get to places. Not everybody's gonna be able to walk to their job because their job might not be in St. Clair County. So 109 parking spots will not be sufficient in that area, plus the medical building parking as well. Then you get to Murray Street. According to these designs, it's a 1-road. How are emergency vehicles gonna get in there and get out? When also there's parking issues on Murray Street that are parking on both sides of the way. I feel the single dwelling homes we were all in support of when the original plan came out. A lot of us on Paget Street are not in support of the 6-story building, as it will not be. We lose everything we've owned for the last 30-some years. Thank you.
Yes, certainly. Now, I know for the, I need to make sure. In here, I guess. For who gets the letters, there's a certain amount of range, isn't there, for that? I'm not sure what it is, but we can check into that too.
Through your
ahead, sir.
worship, I'll just touch on a couple of things. Again, thank you for coming tonight. It's great to hear from the public. And as I mentioned earlier in my presentation, one of the things we really want to highlight was to mitigate any sort of impact on the adjacent neighbors. So the building has been changed. Previous, it was more of an L shape, which had balconies looking onto the homes on Paget Street. That's been removed. There will be no balconies facing to the north at all, is my understanding. And the shadow studies are based on science, right? On how the sun operates, right? And there would be very minimal shadowing, if any, to the north. And any sort of visual impact, again, there will be more detailed landscape designs that are brought forward. There'd be fencing, there'd be vegetation, there'd be trees. There's a landscape architect working on exactly what the best vegetation is in that place to mitigate any sort of impact. In terms of the parking, the township is operating under their old bylaw, I believe from 2003, which is currently being reviewed. 1.5 parking spaces is traditionally meant to be for a very automobile-centric environment. The township may be looking at that change in the future to reduce it. Sarnia has reduced it to 1 space per unit plus 0.2. Obviously, there's transit and other things that help that. But as I said before, Venturis does operate other apartments, and the 1.25 is actually a lot more than what they require for those other developments. The reason we brought it to 1.25 is to address some issues that were identified by county staff and to, I guess, reduce the amount of relief. So again, thank you for your comments, and thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else? Yes, sir.
Sorry, I just switched to higher gear.
That's all right. I hope that works like that. It should be okay.
I believe you've all received my written submission, but just to further what Tina has said, my concern, and I appreciate the gentleman speaking as far as the studies that have been done, but anyone that's worked in industry in the valley realizes that there's architectural suggestions or engineering, but then you find out in the field, things are entirely different in the real world. All of us that have ever tried to find a parking spot around the post office know how difficult that is. The idea of the poor folks on Murray Street that now will have headlights of all these vehicles coming directly into their home is something that doesn't appear in any of these studies. Beyond that, the increased traffic flow, Murray Street is already a pinch point because of the fact that they have taken away most of the parking in behind the post office. You got people parked on Hill Street, people that, through my experience, don't understand what a P in a red circle means. It will park on both sides of Murray Street. Then the idea of trying to get emergency equipment in, all of this just seems to me to be a really bad idea. And for those of you that lived around here for a long time, you think about where the tallest buildings are residentially. 166 Beckwith, and I think it's 198, somewhere in that. So the extreme north end of Corona, and Welling's the extreme south end. Putting it within a residential area, again, is, thankfully, we don't have bus service, otherwise we'd be drawing all sorts of other issues in. All of this, and forgive me, I don't know this company what other buildings they own in the Sarnia area. That would have been helpful to know, to see what the experience is as far as what people in Sarnia would suggest. But we are not Sarnia, we're not London, we're not Toronto. We have our own unique community approaches to things, and my suggestion would be, and from the neighbors my wife has spoken with, having something that is more geared to Corona would be a more appropriate use of that space rather than a 6-story building. Thank you.
Thank you.
Again, through your worship, thanks again for the comments. I'll touch up on a couple other questions that came up in that gentleman's presentation. One is, this is not the right type of development for Corunna. One thing I didn't touch on before is the township's official plan. This is designated residential, and it is allowed up to 100 units per hectare, which is what this development needs. So you may be aware that there is no official plan amendment required for this application because it conforms with what Township Council has determined to be an appropriate density in the area. In terms of the other developments that Venturis has right now, you're okay with me saying? So there's the Addison, if you're familiar with Sarnia and the old Zellers Plaza, there's a 6-story apartment that just recently got built maybe 3 years ago, I want to say. Yes, and they're operating that, it's been in operation for a few years now. There's another building being constructed right behind the Real Canadian Superstore on Afton Drive. It's going to be another 6-story apartment building. So those are the two that are in Sarnia that I'm aware of right now. And with reduced parking. So we do realize that Corunna has, it's a different atmosphere than in Sarnia for sure. So that's why we did try to increase the amount of parking that we usually have in these types of developments. Sarnia is closer to a 1 space per unit standard. We're proposing a 1.25 space per unit. Thank you.
Anybody else? Excuse me. Okay, thank you, Jordan.
Hello, my name's Fred Gatt. My wife was up here earlier. I'm not opposed to residential development in there. What I see that the community needs is buildings that are 1,800 square feet, 1,500 square feet, one level, so that these people that want to downsize, these empty nesters, have a place to go. They will fit in that community that's with the residents that are there currently. We don't need an apartment building. I'm not sure what type of clientele he's trying to draw in. Having a child that lived in an apartment building, he had numerous times at night where someone's cell phone didn't work and they wanted a noise complaint. They walked out in the hall, pulled the fire alarm, brought all the services into play. We already got a great volunteer service with our fire department. We don't want to be taxing them anymore on that. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Yeah.
Again, thank you for your comment. One thing I do want to make council aware of again, when we're looking at the need for housing in this area, if you keep on building 1,800 square foot houses, you're going to need to extend all those services, which means a lot more money for taxes and for construction costs. This is an ideal site because the services are already there. You can accommodate on that, those additional units with the 87 proposed in this building to meet that need without any sort of increases based on infrastructure costs and that sort of thing. So really, I think that's one really important consideration is you can't keep on building that. One, it's not cost effective. Two, you start removing agricultural land, woodlands, having other impacts. You're further away from the central core of the city. People then have to drive instead of walking. So really, we feel that this is an ideal site. And thank you to Mr. McDougall again for sharing those thoughts. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Are there any final questions from the members of council or the planner? Is there any final questions from council or the planner? Go ahead, sir.
This is a question through the mayor, probably more for our staff, is there, in the past, recent past, there've been some drainage issues on Paget Street for surface drainage, and I question of whether or not there is adequate drainage in that area in general, not that lot in particular, but in the whole area in general.
I think Andrew's, Brian's here, yeah. I know Andrew's been working on a project over there.
Yeah, through the mayor. This is an area I think we've looked at. However, Dave's not here tonight, so I would have to take that away and we could have a look at it. But I think it has been looked at, and I think Dave's conclusion was there was sufficient drainage, but I can confirm that.
Okay, any more? Counselor?
Through the mayor, this is for fire chief. Do you have any concerns with the fire department getting to this property? Potential property?
Worship, to the councillor, when we go to site plan, we will ensure that the proper access and radiuses are in place for fire apparatus, or we won't approve it.
Anybody? Counselor?
Part follow-up question, one for Councillor Myers is can we be guaranteed that a site plan will not be approved without knowing that adequate drainage concerns are managed? The drainage has been a serious concern there, and I'd like to know that they're gonna manage all of their on-site water with no or minimal impact on the surrounding properties.
Brian? Carly?
Yeah, through your worship, I can verify as part of the site plan process, as part of the site plan application, we will get grading plans that will handle or outline detail as to how the property will be graded for the apartment building. And Brian's whole crew will be reviewing that and ensuring that the proper grading will be on site and will work.
My follow-up question was maybe for George Lozon, and I don't know if you need to come back with a report. If I need a motion, let me know, Mayor or staff, what the financial impact would be on the municipality. I understand it's a fully serviced site. Is this going to be a net contributor to the municipality, or are we looking at potentially, funding some of the necessary services for this to go forward?
Either George or Carly probably would have an answer to that, too.
I was just going to say, for the tax part, this will be a net increase to the money the township gets through taxes.
Yes, sir.
Your Worship, at the time of site plan, if it's determined that oversized servicing is required, that would be a responsibility of the developer too, and we would look at all of that.
Did you have?
Yes, it's an interesting thing because I've noticed how we lack in apartment buildings. And I look at industry around us and how many people are out working that are just young, starting out, and don't have the finances to buy one of these houses that we have in our area. So they have to go to Sarnia to live, and so they're going out of our area. So I'm kind of hoping that we're looking at clientele like that, plus also active seniors that want to be close to amenities that are around them, including the medical building. Another thing is that I am concerned about the parking on Murray Street and the fact now with the parking that's lacking in the medical building parking lot, and just concerned about overflow into other areas as well. So I think it's something that we need to look at as a council for future if we keep building up in these areas. And also, will there be a way to get, like I understand, you have your access going into the medical building, the one blocked on the other side, but will there be a way to get from the back of this apartment building to Lindock?
I was kind of hoping you'd buy the Old Roses variety there, and that'd be a good way to go out.
I was going to suggest
Thank you, through your worship, to the question for the councillor. There is actually an existing stormwater easement. So when we're talking about stormwater, and that was addressed already, there will be detailed grading and engineering plans that show that water will be directed on this site and to municipal infrastructure, not to harm any neighbors. But one of those ways to deal with it, the schoolyard was actually drained to Lyndoch Street to the west. Not saying it's going to happen, but well, first, what is going to happen is there's going to be an easement over to Murray, oh, sorry, not to Murray Street, but to Hill Street. So there'll be two accesses to the property. So we'll be through Hill Street as well as Murray. That still has to go through the community of adjustment processes when they deal with the severance, but that is the plan. And yeah, like I said, there's a stormwater easement west of the property that goes to Lyndoch Street. I would love to see that as a pedestrian easement as well. Again, those details could be worked out further on, but any sort of access to the main corridor of Corunna would be great, I think, to this property. Thank you.
Anybody else? I see you. Come up and say your question.
My name is Colleen Flesher. This is my husband. I want to get back to the drainage. I can show you photographs from before the medical center was built, where they dumped at least 100 trucks of dirt on that property. I have the photographs, and it was long before they started digging for. I'm pretty sure the company that built the medical center loved having a place where they could get their stuff dumped from another site, because I'm pretty sure that they did. They didn't have to pay a dumping fee. I have pictures of dump trucks. I have pictures of mounds. I complained about this. Others on this council are aware of my complaints. Fred and Tina have suffered greatly when you're talking about drainage. So the solution was to take those large mounds of dirt and just level them. So you have not solved our problem. You just took a lot of dirt and made it flat. I don't mean to be rude, but we are the poor side of town, and you guys treat us like the poor side of town. Everything goes into Paddock Green, everything, oh, it's over on that side, just do whatever. And that's how we've been treated. Our requests are ignored. I asked when they were dumping the trucks if they could stop doing it. Nothing was done by this council, nothing was done by this township office. I can show you letters that I wrote in regards to that. So if you expect us to trust you, you do not have a record so far with the people who live on the poor side of town. So you need to take that into consideration when you're thinking about changes for us. Because Paddock Green is not the only piece of property in St. Clair Township. It's not the only place in Corunna. And there are better pieces of property for this building. Maybe at the south end, there's a nice big piece of property right by Wellings. Wellings is a 4-story building. Not a big deal to put a 6-story building next to it. But it is a big concern for people who live in this neighborhood. And don't say the shadowing. We know how our backyard is. And Fred and Tina are only 24 meters from that. Be respectful of the people in all parts of Corunna, not just over in the wealthier areas or whatever. And the other thing we need in Corunna, you're talking about people being able to walk to commercial. We don't have enough commercial property anymore. The number of people who would like to put a small store in Corunna can't do it. We have no commercial property. So you're taking prime area downtown where it could be commercial property and you're turning it into an apartment building. What businesses are these people going to go to? Because you have no space for any other commercial property. I just want you to consider that. And no matter what you do, we will be watching, because I saw the dirt go in and I better see the dirt going out before you put this building up. Because it not only for Fred and Tina who are at the end, if you're not aware, it runs our way, and then it runs down towards Lyndoch. Everything runs towards the river, so they get the brunt of it all. I just want to make that clear, that you have to consider all parts of Corunna, please.
Okay, thank you for your comments. Anybody else? Councillor Brown?
Thank you for voicing your concerns and the presentation from the developer. My main concern on this development is the number of parking spaces they're proposing. I mean, with the medical center being right adjacent, and it was part of the same property at one time, is the medical center is underserviced with parking spaces. And now you're saying that you might get an easement through their parking lot? I was there today and the parking lot was full. And the two-way traffic in and out of that, off of Hill Street is you gotta be aware of coming and going out of that parking lot in the medical center. So I don't know if you've talked to any other adjacent property owners to expand your footprint and purchase additional property to satisfy the township needs of 1.5 spaces. And that would give you a bigger access onto Murray Street for our emergency equipment and everything. I mean, yes, I believe it's a nice development to put forward, but I think you need to check all the boxes still before, I can fully support it.
Thank you, Councillor.
Just more follow-up, and to reiterate what Councillor Brown has said, my concern also would be the parking. As the Gats have mentioned, that the parking is an issue in that area over there. With the businesses and whatnot are around already, parking is tight, and with my drainage concerns, you mentioned a grading plan and everything, I understand that, and then that water would be dumped into the municipal services, and that's my question, are the municipal services able to handle it? Because we've had some issues on Paget Street already where it didn't seem adequate. So that's my concerns at this point.
Thank you. Do you need to, you want to respond to?
Yeah, sorry, just the one point again, through your worship. Drainage, there was a functional service report that was submitted where engineers looked at the greater system of where the effluent, the water, everything was going, and determined that the infrastructure was enough to accommodate the proposal. Again, as Mr. Baranek said, once it gets through the more detailed stages of the development, there'd be more detailed engineering done. If there's any required upgrades to the system, then that would not be on the township, that would be on the developer.
All right, thanks, Jordan. You guys, anything else? All right. Seeing as not, I declare the public meeting closed. Council's called back to order. Can I have a motion on the application?
Excuse me? There was two more questions. Can they ask, or you're closing the meeting?
We've closed it. Thank you. Would anybody like to make a motion on this?
I will.
Deputy Mayor?
Well, I want to say I do support this project. I think it's needed, and I think it's a good idea. However, I think we should defer this until we deal with the parking issue at the medical center. I don't see how we could go ahead and build another building or agree to build another building when we already know we have a parking problem. So I'm going to suggest we defer this until we deal with that issue.
Councillor Langus, second. Anybody else? All those in favor? Carried. Thank you. Everybody want to fill out at the back, there's a sign-up sheet, and you'll be notified of everything as it goes along too. Sure. We'll take a 5-minute break here. Resolved that correspondence concerning the conditions of the Moore Sports Complex be received. Don't go away yet, if that's what you're here for. Do you have a mover for this first? And then I will, you can come up. Mover? Councillor Brown, second. Councillor Myers. All those in favor to receive? Carried. All right, Patrice, you want to come up front and center? Do you want to give your address and?
Patrice McClemens at 944 Rokeby. And thanks for letting us come and speak. Us concerned. Oh. They can
I
hear
can
me.
hear
Can
you.
you? Yeah. Okay. Yeah, thanks for having us concerned pool people, members.
I think we're all concerned.
Yeah. We'd like to know when it's gonna start, if you have any, or is that,
I'll have to ask Kendall over there. He'll have the dates.
Yeah, through the mayor to the pool people. Is that what you're going by? To Patrice. So our goal is to, we were gonna put it out in next council meeting, but we're gonna announce that we're gonna close April 1st. And then we are gonna start looking into a few things and start opening up some walls and seeing what's going on. And then as that progresses. So right now, all we've done is maybe, call it exploratory looking with the pipes with cameras, but we need to get eyes on some of them, right? So we know where we want to open up or what we want to look at. So, so yeah, April 1st, and now with what happened tonight, I can't tell you when we're going to be done, right? Originally, the grant is supposed to end December of 2026. So that was, you know what I mean? But our original goal was to get April to September. But you know, everything with a 50-year-old building, and if there's more work to be done now, it's going to be hard to get it done before September. So,
showers downstairs are closed?
yep.
Why?
We're trying to limp everything over the finish line. So the ones downstairs were closed. The drains in the floor are suspect, and that's one of the areas we want to open up. And we just felt the floor was starting to get spongy. It was starting to get a little, so we wanted just to close it to get through this last month so we could. So there's a few things we are limping across the finish line to get looked at.
It's too bad we could have never at the hindsight here is bring it upstairs like we always had plans to do. But
That's a good
the money
idea.
Yeah, but the money was a big financial burden to do that back then, but that was the ultimate goal to do. And it would still be nice someday to
Can
be
you
able
still
to
do it, but don't touch anything downstairs and have it just bring everything up?
Yeah, but
Can
then you would
still
have
do
to add
that?
on.
Yeah. Instead of fixing up downstairs, forget about the downstairs. Just
Yeah.
add it on.
There was two portions to the grant. So the first portion was to rehabilitate, so that's what I put in for. The second portion was for 10 million to be matched. It would have been a 20 million, and that was the plan that we came up with. Council approved it. We went and we tried to get that money, and we weren't successful, but we were successful to get.
Before COVID, wasn't it?
No, that was with this grant.
Oh, with this?
So the one before COVID was the whole facility.
Yeah.
So now we've moved forward, we replaced the back rink, we've made the rink safe, we've got the floor pads done. So now we knew the next step of the building is to look at the pool, right? And that's when this grant came up, that's why we looked at the pool. So,
It still back then was, a couple years ago, was $7-8 million that we had to take out. So we're still in arrears of that for 2.5. So there's a lot of money that's been invested, and there's still, obviously has to be a lot more, and that's. But keep on, when you notice things like that, don't hesitate to.
Complain?
Yeah, no, not complaining, just to, send in to say what you see. Because a lot of times, maybe something doesn't get seen or whatever, so.
I'm happy. Okay, thank you.
So thank you.
Thank you.
Have a good night. Yep.
To the mayor, question for Kendall. What do you need from us to keep this on schedule and to try to help you to get done within your time frame?
Well, more money is definitely going to help, right? So appreciate that. We changed gears once now and we prepared a tender to not put extra work in. So now we're going to change gears back. But number one, we got to get it opened up and start looking. So I guess the best thing and path forward, and is kind of the way we left it when I last left here, is we'll start into it. And when I need help, I'll keep you guys informed of what's going on with the project and as we go through it. So I am sure there will be some surprises. Hopefully be some good things too, like some things we don't think are as bad as we thought they are. One we already had was the HVAC system. It's not as bad as we thought it was gonna be. So there are some good things already, so, yep. So right now, yeah, I can't see anything I need. We're gonna start and get going. The time crunch is tough though. Like it's already late February, right? So we got to get going, so.
Good. Anybody else?
My only concern is that potentially we're handcuffing ourselves to other grants that maybe would be available in the future to help the burden of paying it directly ourselves. And that's the unfortunate thing, that I realize he wants to move this forward, and without having that benefit of time, I guess we won't know if there was other funding available to address.
We've applied for a lot too, and there's nothing that's come back on this point. So you can keep waiting and waiting and waiting and.
Yeah, and that's what's unfortunate about it. We waited on the arena into the 11th hour of that one rink and we didn't get it. And we had, and unfortunately that there was no grants for that, or very minimal for what we did get. We had to shoulder all that on our own. So just to have the million from the province is great and grateful, and we'll run with it.
Yeah, because you look at Plimpton, Wyoming, they just got 190-something thousand. Well, that's great for an outdoor pool like that, but what we're doing is a little bit heavier. So be it resolved, the following items of information be received. 7.1, news release, council approves 2026 budget, St. Clair Township 2025 audit service plan, and Lambton County Music Festival. So we have a mover to receive the report. Councillor Langus, second. Councillor Foster. All those in favor? Does anyone like to make a motion on any of the information items? I'm sorry. Go ahead, Councillor.
I guess two things. The audit service plan, it looks like it's $36,300 plus HST. Is that, I don't know when the last time that was done is. Every year, yeah. So is that rate, how much of that has changed? And then on the Lambton County Music Festival, that's sponsorship. I guess I would say they're late for the 2026 donation. We should inform them that we'd like to see these prior to our budget.
George, you got an answer for the first question?
Through the mayor. Council approved this 2 or 3 years ago. I think it was a 5-year plan for the audit. I'm not sure of the percentage. I believe it was around 3 to 5% a year, but I can come back with a report if you'd like.
Okay, thanks, George. Anything else? Got that question. Okay, carry on. Reports of committees and staff. Clerk report, status of the 2026 budget. Clerk report, status of 2026 budget. What do you have, Mr. Clerk? Okay. Do we have a mover for the report? Councillor Brown, second. Councillor Langstaff. All those in favor? Carried. Okay, sir. No.
Through the mayor, I could make a motion. We still have the timeline to I know you vetoed the ditch on Hill Street. And I would like to have a motion to take that out, and the following reasons. I've had a lot of concern from residents. They asked a question, there are many questions, the south neighbors. First off, it's a county road, it's a county ditch. We could go to the county and ask them to take care of the ditch. There was south neighbors that in the past came to the township with complaints of the ditch when they were turning out of their driveway. And it was explained to the resident that they, because it's a county road, if they wanted the ditch cleaned up to the south, that they would have to pay for that. So their question is, why was this approved, this ditch to be filled in when the south side, it didn't seem to care when you gave the reasons that you wanted it to look nice when you come into Corunna. I'm going to give the rest of my reasons. When I spoke to Public Works, this isn't a project that they asked for to be at the top of their priority. They have other priorities. I did ask for a copy of what was submitted from each department and asked George Lozon, and it was explained that the mayor did not want to us, the council, to have what they had submitted. So I don't have the proof in front of me of that. I just have coming from Public Works that this was not a top priority of them. And for those reasons, I feel that for the $115,000, I can't support this motion.
That's will be your motion for the veto. That's fine. And I can imagine George saying that, but anyways. So you want to go on with what we're doing?
We have to get a second for that motion.
Well, we haven't started yet. You hold your motion, okay? We're going to roll through here, and then we'll get the motions for the vetoes. All right? I just wanted to clarify the process of the budget preparation to everybody out there in YouTube land. It has been previously miscommunicated. The budget was prepared by myself, the CAO, and the treasurer. That's the way it was done. Each department head had the opportunity to present their request in a timely fashion. Then the budget was presented to council for input with ample time to review. I did not prepare this by myself. It was from there where the budget was prepared. So now we're going to move on to the veto. Veto of budget amendments. I, Mayor of the Township of St. Clair, pursuant to the special powers and duties extended to the head of council under Part 6(1) of the Municipal Act 2001, under the act, hereby veto the following resolutions passed by the Township of St. Clair Council and the budget deliberations meeting held on January 15, 2026. Motion 4, be it resolved, the project 2026-2003 Hill Ditch infill be removed from the capital budget at a value of $115. Motion 13, be it resolved that the Moore Skate Club be awarded a grant of $3,000. Their request was $64.98. And motion 14, be it resolved that the Moortown Minor Hockey be awarded the donation of $1,000 down from the request of $2,700. The reasons for these vetoes are identified in the attached note, which I'm going to read now, and then we'll go through the motions. Respectful explanation for mayoral vetoes. Dear members of council, I want to take a moment to acknowledge and thank each member of council for their time, care, and diligence in reviewing the budget on behalf of our township. As you know, this was the first time using the strong mayor powers for the budget process. Opting to utilize this process was not an easy decision, and it was taken with full respect for the role of council and the prioritized submissions by staff, and those contributions remain critical, not only this year, but in years to come. At the same time, I believe we have a responsibility to ensure that our financial decisions are sustainable, transparent, and aligned with the expectations of the people we serve. Residents have been clear about their desire to minimize tax increases wherever possible, given the financial challenges everybody has been facing. Accordingly, I will exercise the veto powers authorized by this office of the Municipal Act 2001 on 3 motions identified herein as passed and the budget deliberations meeting held on January 15th. Reasons, be it resolved that the project Hill Street ditch infill be removed from the 2026 capital budget at a value of $115,000. Reasons for the veto. This project is in a high-profile location on a main arterial road leading into the township's largest settlement area. The homes abutting this project are rear-facing without a gate, access making its maintenance unnecessarily and unfairly onerous. The current lack of maintenance due to the impassable terrain results in health and concerns for local residents. Corunna has hosted the most development within the township for many years, so it is important to keep its access routes aesthetically maintained and continue to encourage new development which expands a tax base for the entire municipality. Corunna Place hosts many large-scale community festivals which attract many visitors to the area. And this project is directly across from the street on the main venue for those. So we have a motion. Would you like to repeat it? Because I kind of took up some extra time there.
Sure. And my motion is to remove the ditch on Hill Street.
Okay. Do we have a seconder?
I'll second.
Okay. Deputy Mayor, any discussion? Councillor Brown.
Well, I'll sure speak to it. This would be the 3rd time that St. Clair Township has paid for the infill of the ditch along Hill Street that these homes from that subdivision back onto. There was the first time went from, I believe, from Nash to Brooktree. And then when the next phase was developed, and I think at least 2 or 3 of us were on council at the time, the next portion was from Brooktree to the 5 lots that go to the east. Now, this is the last phase of the subdivision that was done. We had 38 people. I don't know about the people on the south side of Hill Street, but we had 38 people from that subdivision sign and submit a petition that they'd like to see this filled in. So I think it's just proper that we carry on with what we've done in the past for the first residents along there, and we get this taken care of. And like I say, it is, if I was trying to sell real estate, I think it speaks to the level of what aesthetically, what you see when you come into town. And, you know, we're talking about a multi-million dollar apartment building that would certainly, I don't know what else would be built on that property if that proposal doesn't go through, but that's another story. So.
Okay, anybody else?
Sorry. Through the mayor, I thank you for your comments, Councillor. I do realize that it was 2 times before that they did pay this, and from staff, they were not in agreement. Asking Public Works their opinion, is this a top priority for, especially at this time when you're saying you want to keep taxes lower? And we have, I just received a call from, we have Rustin Pipes on Kerr Ave. We have, they don't have 160,000 put new pipes in there, but we're going to spend 115 on a cosmetic something for our ditch. You're saying, ask them to go to the county first, rather than just approving for the township to pay for a ditch. Why don't the 38 residents that signed the petition go to the county? We haven't even tried to get approval from the county of this ditch like we did with the Hill Street lights. We did try, and they said no, so.
Yes.
So we're going to go ahead and pay it. I can't, I cannot support this. I had a resident in today, like I say, talking to me, was very upset and said, and I would like to ask the mayor, did Public Works submit this as one of their top priorities in the budget?
There was a lot that came in not at the top.
So this was a choice that you made as a top priority of the spending? Am I correct on that or incorrect?
Well, I guess it was,
Okay.
yes.
But
Kind
these are
of like the
questions, these are,
$50,000 that went down to a park that was way down the list, but I'm not gonna get into all
these,
that right now.
these are a question that I was asked by a resident
Okay,
today
so
to
you got my
say,
answer.
why, when they come and they asked to have the south side of the ditch, why is it so important to the north side of the ditch, if it was so important that we cared about the cosmetics at this time in the 2026 budget, now we're only gonna do the north side, we're not doing the south side. And they were very, very upset with that when they were turned down and they were told they had to pay for it themselves.
Well, I wasn't around on that one, but I'm answering now. Go ahead, Councilor Brown.
I don't recall the south side ever requesting that, and there'd only be one house that probably has a fairly new resident that lives there. And the other thing that affects the traffic flow along there is you have that bypass lane on the south lane so people can turn into Brooktree, which is turning into a busy area coming out of Corunna. That's why we leave the speed limit at 50 kilometers an hour right up almost to the tracks.
Okay, perfect talk. Councilor.
You know, it's interesting that the developer was never asked to do this when they built that property, and it's unfortunate that that was let slide. I'm really hoping that in the future, whenever we let people build stuff in our township, that they do diligence with what's going to be good for the township, because this is just turning into a nightmare as far as, you know, when across the road, yes, those places are, they have a ditch in front of them. They've been maintaining them for mega years. And then there's property just down the road for sale. If a developer goes in there, are we going to get the same request? So I understand that you want it to look beautiful. I just have a hard time swallowing it when the other side is not, and this was
okay.
done.
I totally agree with you. That should have been all done in a site plan for that, for them houses that were built over there. And I won't even get into when the site plan was because I wasn't on council for that anymore. But there's other stuff coming out behind that goes into that ditch that people shouldn't have to do anything with too. So anyways, we've had a good talk. Let's call the question. All right, all those in favor? 1, 2, 3, 4.
What's the motion?
Sorry, can you read the motion?
Can you repeat the motion, please?
Yeah, through your worship, the motion from Councillor Foster is to override the mayoral veto, which would, the result of which would remove the closure of that ditch. And keep in mind, you need 5 of 7.
Okay,
And could I record a vote?
sure. That makes it easier for me and I don't have to count so much, John. Glad you kept your installment of papers up.
Okay. To that motion, Councillor Langus.
Yes.
Councillor Myers. Councillor Langstaff.
No.
Councillor Brown.
No.
Councillor Foster.
Yes.
Councillor Miller.
Yes.
No,
Mayor Kerr.
I knew I'd be next, so that's why I gave you.
That motion's defeated.
All right, let's carry on to the next one. Reasons for veto. Be it resolved that the Moore Skate Club be awarded a grant of $3,000. Their request was $64.98. Reason for veto. The reason I supported this request initially was to recognize the significant financial contributions made annually by the Moore Skate Club and its membership to the operation of the Moore Sports Complex. It is my personal belief always that the major user groups of the Moore Sports Complex should be extended leniency when looking to occupy facilities within the complex when they're otherwise not leased. It is not reasonable to expect user groups of the complex to attempt to offset the operation cost. They already pay significant fees, all while attracting many local residents and visitors. not only to the arena itself, but to the community to stimulate the local economy. Forcing this user group to rent the hall at this rate is force them to rent other more affordable halls, and we'd like to keep our user groups at our facility. These members return to the facility for the rest of their lives. All right. I'd like to make a motion on that one. Deputy Mayor?
I'll make a motion to support it.
Okay.
You don't need to. You don't need to make a motion if you're overriding that motion.
Okay. You can explain that, Mr. Clerk.
Explain that?
Yeah.
Yeah, through your worship. So the mayor exercised these powers earlier this week by direction to council, which was circulated and posted to our website. The purpose of the report tonight was simply to highlight those vetoes to suggest, or well, not to suggest, sorry, that's the wrong word, to provide the opportunity for council to make an override motion. Councillor Foster made an override motion on the first motion. There's no need to make other motions on the other two unless you're looking to override those, which of course, as you all know, require 5 of 7. Absent of that desire by council, the only other motion that we would like to see tonight would be to formally close your override period, which of course then would mean we have a passed budget.
Okay, so we'll continue on with this. Would anybody like to make a motion to deny this? Seeing none? No. John, you don't have to write that one. All right, we'll carry on to the last one. Motion 14, be it resolved that Moortown Minor Hockey be awarded a donation of $1,000 down from the request of $2,700. The reasons for this veto, the reasons I supported this request mirror those identified above for motion 14. Without the Moortown Minor Hockey Association, the Moore Sports Complex would simply not be able to operate. Their continued partnership with the township is an integral part of the community. The main use for the hall is to help raise funds, which directly results in lowering registration costs for our residents, allowing more youth to continue to play the sport they love, which ultimately results in more revenue at the complex. That's that one. Does anybody like to make a motion to override that one? Seeing none? John, you don't have to write that one. All right, closing remarks. In presenting this budget, I was guided by the real financial pressures facing our residents and the responsibility to protect affordability while sustaining essential services. I think this budget strikes a true balance between continued critical investment in our community and our infrastructure with timely recognition of the fiscal challenges our residents are facing. With the budget I have proposed where a tax rate increase mirrors inflation at 2.7%. The township still maintains the 3rd lowest tax rate in the county. I would like to thank both staff and council for all their diligent efforts through this new process, where we considered both operating and capital budgets concurrently. It is with this team effort that we have prepared a fiscally responsible budget that I am pleased with and the one our residents can be proud of. We have a $50 million waste treatment plant going up down there. We have another $1 million down in Corunna at that transfer station. We have another transfer station going on Tom Street. And if Tom Street ever collapses, there'll be 600 houses going into the river. Not literally, but there's sewer going into the river. So we have a very large amount of capital going on right now, and I'm proud of all that we could do that at that rate. What's that? Okay, would somebody like to make this motion? Be it resolved. Oh, sorry.
Before we get into that.
Yeah, don't forget.
Before we get into that, I just have one other item that pertains to budget. Some time ago, and I believe it's been in at least the last 2 terms of council, the concern of the residents of Sombra have been to add some sort of a light at the intersection of Bent Path and 40 Highway. Initially, there's been many discussions over this over the years. It was in the budget at one point in time, but below the line. I don't know if it's still there or not. Since then, the solar flashing red lights have come out, and we've utilized them at a couple other locations in the township. Given a couple accidents at that intersection again recently, one as recent as this week, I would like to propose that we install the solar flashing lights on the stop signs at the intersection of Bent Path and 40 Highway.
You make a motion for that.
Yes, I'd like to make a motion, but I understand, if the clerk can correct me if I'm wrong, that we cannot, at this point, cannot adjust the, Jeff, could you explain that? You can do a better job than I can.
Yeah, through your worship, at this point, the budget process has been exhausted. The only way you could add that would be at a further, or at a subsequent meeting, I should say, or if it's funded by but not through general revenues. In other words, by a reserve.
By another source.
Okay.
I'm sure we have another source that can afford it.
I'd like to make a motion that we install those in the 2026 year. And we'll ask staff to bring a report back on cost and recommendations on a funding source, if we could.
That's a great motion. Thank you. Do we have a seconder? Counselor? I'll tell you, I've been going through hell in the county for the last 4 years. This weekend, there was another freaking accident at Shoreline and Kimball. And
Cruiser was hit.
huh?
Cruiser was hit.
Yeah, an OPP, yeah, they were lucky that, and the car just barreled right through. So anything that can be added to help, I'm fully agree on it. Yeah, Councillor Langstaff. All right, anybody have anything on that? All those in favor? Carried. So Brian can take care of that. Anything else? Be it resolved that the override period of the 2026 budget be closed on the 17th day of February 2026, resulting in the formal adoption of the 2026 budget. Do we have a mover for that? Councillor Langstaff. Seconder. Councillor Brown. All those in favor? Carried.
We have a budget.
Is that all we need, Jeff? No, guys, go ahead and start doing what you have to do. Okay, so what's this one, Jeff?
So this one you need to lift the chief's report from the table, so this one is just a reminder that you can't
Okay. Okay, so next one, we have to lift from the table. Be it resolved that the fire underwriter survey and Superior Tank Shuttle Service and insurance impacts report as submitted by Director of Emergency Services, Fire Chief, be lifted from the table. We have a move, do we have to do, whoever put it there, right?
Nope.
No? Okay. Councilor Brown. Sorry. Seconder. Deputy Mayor. All those in favor? Carried. What's the next?
So now you're gonna receive the report, and then you're gonna see if there's any
Okay. Be it resolved that the fire underwriter survey and Superior Tank Shuttle Service and insurance impacts report as submitted by Director of Emergency Service, Fire Chief, be received as information. We have a mover for that one. Councillor Foster. Second. Councillor Langus. All those in favor? Okay, now, does anyone want to make a motion on the chief's report? Councillor Langus.
First of all, I just need some clarification. He wants to table this report until the 3 actions are completed. Is that what we're or is that what we're approving right now?
I'll have to defer to the clerk.
Because that's how it was written.
Yeah, it kind of looks like that, doesn't it?
This report until the 3 actions are completed. He wants $3,000 for a survey, and he feels the fire apparatus should be returned at 20 years of age. And I just want to have clarification before I vote on anything.
Go ahead.
Yeah, through your worship, the way this original motion is drafted is just to simply receive that report, and then at this time, you would be making those types of motions, whether to table that or whether to proceed with the process that are described therein.
Would anybody like to make a motion? Go ahead.
Through the mayor, I have a question. We're voting on the motion, Brad, that you did to. I'd like to make a motion. I can't support this at this time with the information that I've received.
Okay. Support what? Councillor Foster. Can you carry on with what you don't want to support? Sorry.
Getting the assessment of the FUSE and the STSS, so spending the $3,000 on the survey at this time.
Do we have a seconder for that? Councillor Langstaff. Any questions? Councillor Brown.
So this is a long report, and I'm just wondering, is this, I believe, $3,000, is this the first time we've put that out to get this assessment done?
The councillor, yes, I believe so.
Anything else?
And I guess the survey, it's relatively low investment to have our equipment graded, right, for lack of better words, as to where we stand on overall lifetime of our equipment, our trucks. That's where I'm going. So I think we still need to proceed with this, regardless of any other motion that's brought forward here.
Okay, anybody else?
I'm curious as to whether this $3,000 is that in your budget to do this?
Your worship, yes, it is.
Councillor.
Through your worship, to the CEO or clerk, are we aware of anyone in Lambton County that has gone down this route? My concern would be, I guess, to follow up on that, would be, I'm afraid that we get this test back, and it says that our fire budget that's already gone up X in the last decade is only gonna be forcing to go up more and more and more and more. I think our level of service is second to none right now. I don't think we need to spend any amount of money to prove that to anybody in Lambton County. My question is, has anyone else in Lambton County done this test?
Through, I'm not aware of anybody in Lambton County unless the fire chief is. I know there are other municipalities, we have a list of them that have gone through that.
Your worship, to address that comment, to the best of my knowledge, nobody in the county has done this Superior Tanker Shell. This is very common across the province of Ontario. Many parts. It's not about spending more money on fire apparatus. This is about getting rated that we can supply water, hydrant flow water to the rural residents. Anybody that's over 300 meters from a fire hydrant and under 8 kilometers from a station can get hydrant protected rate. So this is a personal insurance or commercial insurance rating savings to the residents. This is not about buying more trucks. We have the trucks. It's not it. This is about doing this, and council doesn't seem to understand that this is a tried and true method of returning money to the residents in the rural areas. Where I came from, I talked to my agent, as I said earlier, we can't get a rating here because the grading portal does not have us listed. So all the agents, it says here, the community may hear from brokers that fire underwriter survey grades do not affect rates because brokers themselves may not use our grading portal. However, insurers and their underwriting and actuarial teams do use them. We speak to insurer actuaries on a regular basis for various discussions. So this is how the premiums are set for our businesses and our residents. So this is a savings. If we get accredited, then we can tell our residents in the rural area, go to one of your insurance companies or shop it around and see. I checked one municipality that's rated, been doing it for 20 years, and they have a 30% savings for their residents in those rural areas. And I tend to think that our residents would like to see insurance savings premiums. We have invested in our apparatus. We have great apparatus. There's no debate about that. We are just proving that we can use the apparatus. That's what this test is about. Can we haul water and do it? DG Global just contacted me the other day, wanting to know how many tankers we have, how much water can we move, where's the nearest hydrants, and what other things we can do to help DG Global ensure to do that. And I have an email from him that says hopefully lower their rates. So this is about giving back to the residents. That's what this is all about. That's why the tankers have to stay within 20 years. But we can debate that down the road, because right now it's a moot point. All the trucks are in a time frame. So this is about showing what you've invested in the fire department. And it's our way of showing that our training's at work and can do this. So, but we have to show that we can do it. That's the reason we're doing this. This is for the residents. This is not about a new fire truck for anybody.
So in layman's terms, sorry, I just gotta ask a question here. Anybody living in an urban area like me, or a number of us up here, this makes no difference to. But if you're out in the rural and you don't have a fire hydrant within, what'd you say, 300
meters or 1,000 feet, your worship.
1,000 feet, that you're gonna pay more insurance because you don't have water.
That is correct.
Okay. Go ahead.
Through the mayor, fire chief, by my calls, and I'm not clear enough to be able to make a decision on this. I was waiting back a call today, didn't get the call in. From the knowledge that I have right now, I can't support this 100% saying that this is, that I'm going to, that the residents are going to get the reduction. With talking with insurance companies, there's too much confusion out of it right now. We could, you know, if I have more information, maybe I could look at this if I get reelected next year. But at this point, I can't with the information that I have now.
Why don't we defer it for another, how long would it basically take?
Our plan is to try to do it in June or July to get the testing, and that was the purpose of the report. Let us go and do this work. And if we get the rating and we come back, then the portal will open up. Then we'll be able to tell whether or not the residents. So you're investing some training time in what we do every day anyways. We just have to prove it. We've done the training. This is like the final exam. We just have to go and prove it to the auditors that we can do this task. But I want council to be aware of it. So we do the test and there's no change. What did we lose out of it? Our firefighters are better trained on shuttling water. If it works, our residents get a reduction in the insurance rate.
Our rural residents, yes. Go ahead.
Through the mayor, could I make a, change my motion to defer this then until July? Till I get further information, we can bring it back?
Seconder agrees. I forget which one was the seconder. Councillor Langstaff, you okay with that?
Sure, as long as you let me speak on it. We are under servicing our roads department $1 million, our bridges $2 million. I can't imagine what our insurance cost is gonna do when we start closing down bridges. That's gonna affect my rating and everyone else in the country also. So we gotta start looking where we can save money. That's why my motions made today reflect. I just wanna keep the bridges open so the fire trucks can make it to the property, respectfully.
I want to keep the bridges open too, but yes, I fully see what you're saying. But if we can hold off for a couple months to get an answer on this, I think it would benefit everybody. Go ahead, Deputy Mayor.
Yeah, I don't think $3,000 is going to build a bridge anywhere. And I don't know how many councillors we need doing the fire chief's job. But I certainly support deferring this until the chief has a chance to talk to it. Because they don't appreciate councillors coming in here and blindsiding our staff with a bunch of motions that they have no idea are coming.
Okay. All right, so we have I guess we have to call that. So we have a motion. All those in favor? Carried. Deferred. That was there. Yeah. Sorry, I thought everybody caught on to that one. Be it resolved that the request for streetlights, St. Clair Parkway report as submitted by Coordinator of Operations David Neely be received as information. Mover for this. Councillor Myers, second. Councillor Langstaff. All those in favor to receive the report? Carried. Would anybody like to make a motion to put it in put it to the, forward to the 27 budget? Deputy Mayor.
I would like to make a motion to let this continue on with the plan that our staff have to replace streetlights. Maybe it's 26, maybe it's in 27, maybe it's in 28, but I don't think we need to jump the gun and put these lights in at this time.
Okay. We need to change that, or we're good? Okay. Carry on. Be it resolved that the following bylaws receive all three readings and thereby passed. Bylaw 8 of 26, fees bylaw replacing Bylaw 11 of 2025. Bylaw 9 of 2026, zoning bylaw amendment 1532 Kerr line. This one? Okay. Bylaw 11 of 2026, confirming bylaw. We have a mover for these bylaws. Councillor Langus, thank you. Seconder? Councillor Langstaff. All those in favor? Carried. Be it resolved that the following drainage bylaws receive first and second readings and thereby be provisionally passed. Bylaw 1 of 2026, Henry Drain 2026 improvement construction. Bylaw 2 of 26, Government Drain 3 improvement construction. And Bylaw 3 of 26, Burton Creek Drain 25 improvement construction. Mover? Councillor Brown, second. Councillor Foster. Any questions? All those in favor? Carried. Let's carry on here. Councillors' reports. Councillor Langs. I forgot if I started with you last time or not.
Yeah, that's okay. February 3rd, I went out to the Brigden Hall Board meeting and had a tour of the place as well because I'd never been there before. And yes, the Moore Museum does have 2 areas of storage and they are going through it. They're going to categorize and see what they can do, but there's a lot of other stuff there that belongs to a lot of groups that aren't even working right now. They aren't even, there's no Girl Guides, but there's lots of stuff there. No brownies, lots of stuff there. So there's a mishmash of things that is all up in the storage. But the board, they were very receptive to all the changes and are very, very interested in welcoming new people to come and use their hall. The next day, the 4th, I went to the Moore Museum Board meeting. And on, and my other thing is, a couple of the things have already been answered, but we made the motion to apply for the second part of the grant. And are you telling me, or telling us, Kendall, that we did not win that application?
Yes, sorry, we did not receive it. That's been a while. I think it was in an information report.
Are you talking about wastewater treatment plant?
You talking
I'm
about
talking about
CMOG, or are
the
you
part
talking
2 of the $10 million grant that we applied to for the new builds.
Yeah,
Okay,
we did not receive
we
it.
did not win
We were
that.
not successful.
Okay. Okay, and my last thing that I wanted to mention was I'm also concerned about Kimball and Petrolia line and another accident there as well as the other one. And I know that the county is putting off doing the roundabout, but I think we need to emphasize that this council is very concerned and would like something done immediately to make that corner better, like they did on Highway 80 by putting those big stop signs with the lights on them, because honestly, I don't know, and I can't say what the situations are, but people are not paying attention and accidents are happening more and more.
So a week ago, 2 weeks ago at our last county meeting, I think it was the budget meeting, I requested that they put lights on to the stop sign. So first I got a playback saying, oh no, we can't put the flashy ones like that on. So they're supposed to do a report and come back with us what kind of lights they can put on. But tomorrow I will definitely be bringing that up again. I already have it written in my notes because I think it's just like, what are they waiting for? more people to die.
Exactly.
Like it should have been. Lucky it wasn't this week because the one just ran right through.
Yeah.
So
I mean, I understand that it's the people driving the vehicles, but I still think as a safety issue, we need to emphasize that that is a bad corner.
Number
And
2 in the county, as you heard.
Yeah, and we need
Inspector
something
say.
done.
Yeah, no, I totally agree, and I try my best out there, but you have, same thing, you have democracy, right? But right now, they're scheduled to do the roundabout in 27. They're doing all the, 26 is supposed to have all that. They've already got $800,000 into this. They could have put 3 stoplights up there by now. I know. My first original motion was put a street light up there, and that got totally waylaid to do a roundabout, so, yeah, I know. Thank you, Councillor Myers.
I haven't had any meetings since my last meeting in council, but I do have a couple questions. The first one is I've received several calls over the last, I'll say, month. The change in our recycle pickup from, I believe the commercial's gone to Fridays. How did we get the notification out to the folks that that was changing? Was it sent out, and how was it sent out?
Brian, defer to you.
I'm gonna have to ask, I'm not sure.
I didn't know it did change, just certain area, or?
I'll let Brian speak on that if he would. He could explain it better than I could. I know there's changes, but I don't want to miss something.
Yeah, through the mayor, there was a small loophole in the change that the government has put out in terms of recycle. So the commercial was not part of the transition to the industry collecting the recycle. So, but Marcotte continued to collect it. And it wasn't until recently that Dave recognized that Marcotte was doing this favor for us. Marcotte informed us that they were going to stop doing it. And so it meant for us that we're going to have to go out and find somebody to collect that commercial recycle. So we've gone through that process. I don't, off the top of my head, know how that was communicated to the commercial owners, so I'm going to have to come back with that information. But yeah, it's definitely a recent change.
And so with that being said, one of the calls was for the Friendship Club in Courtright. And another one, the same guy that puts it out for the Friendship Club also puts it out for one of the churches. I don't recall which one. Are those classified as commercial?
Yeah, it would fall into that category. It may not be called commercial, but it is generally that group. Yeah, it's non-residential.
I just can't imagine that these places have a vast amount of recycle, like some, but not.
Yeah, and it's really not about the amount. It's really about who's collecting it.
Okay.
So Marcotte's saying, we're not collecting this anymore, and it will be, it's gone out to tender, and it'll be either Marcotte or somebody else.
The next question, I guess, is how do they go about getting on that list? I understood, and this is hearsay, but I understood they called the township, and the township directed them to call the company. And I gotta think that us as a council or as a township operation that we should be doing that on behalf of the residents or the people that live in here that we represent. So I guess I want to understand, how do they go about getting on that list?
Yeah, my understanding is we were creating that list. So we started with Marcotte's list, and we found that it was deficient. So we've been since adding to it, as we've recognized there's other, commercial places that weren't on the Marcotte list. So there were a few that were missed because we didn't get the right proper list from Marcotte originally. But yeah, we're collecting that list.
Okay.
Yeah.
One more. Hydro One is working diligently replacing the tower line from the southern limit of our township up through in my neighborhood. And I've noticed recently, many trucks. Like, they're basically building a gravel road cross-country through the fields along the old tower line, so they can run their equipment in there. So you can imagine how many loads of gravel are being hauled in, and then the heavy equipment to move said gravel. So the traffic on the rural roads in my area, well, I'll say basically from Lambton Generating Station to the southern limit of the township, is seeing a vast amount of traffic on the roads. We're probably, I want to say there's 3 weeks where the traffic goes up what would normally go up and down that road in 2 to 3 weeks, goes up, down daily. And I guess, do we have some kind of roads retainer with these folks? Like, I gotta see with the extra heavy loads that are being traveled, that we're gonna see an uptick in expense to fix all this stuff. And is some kind of contingency from Hydro One?
Do we, John? Can you check that into that?
Yeah, I'll check into that. I'm not aware of anything.
And if not, how do we go about recouping some of that cost? And
Yeah, for sure. So they're using gravel? I thought usually they put steel plates along there to go between.
they're putting geotech down and gravel,
Oh, okay. Huh.
like load after load after load, thousands of them.
Wow. Thank you for the info. Councillor, thanks, staff, sorry.
Thank you through your worship. I attended the Fire and Safety AGM with our mayor, Deputy Warden Agar. Furthermore, I'd like to thank our mayor, his time and lobbying efforts at the county level this past budget deliberation for the second most dangerous intersection in Lambton County at Petroleum Kimball Road before another accident. Thank you, Mayor and County Council, for continuing to make improvements while we go through the process of the long-term solution. Thank you. I understand Bill Myers has been doing extensive research into the improvement at Bent Path and 40 Highway, a solution that you've been many years in the making to get approved, and thank you for that also. That's everything.
Thank you, Councillor. It still amazes me how stuff takes so long from start to finish. Anyways, Councillor Brown?
Thank you, Mayor Agar. Actually, it was quiet, other than, there was a Super Bowl, and I attended the St. Clair Region Conservation Authority had their executive and nominating committee meetings, and I'd like to remind everybody that if you haven't let Ashley know at the Strathroy office, our annual general meeting is going to be held in Newberry on February 26th, and I believe it starts at 10 a.m. So if you're interested in attending that, that's where that is. I do have one follow-up question on the streetlight report. Was it just received for information and it wasn't tabled or anything for, thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Foster?
Thank you, through the mayor. The only thing I attended was Clean Harbors on February 12th, and then other than fielded hours and hours and hours of calls due to the budget, the way it was done this year. And then that was quite a busy time.
Deputy Mayor?
Thank you. I attended the county council meeting on the 4th of February, which was actually the budget meeting. I think we all got a report on that. It's about a 3.7% increase, I think, overall. I also attended the St. Clair Region Conservation Authority executive meeting and the CLAC meeting, where they told us why we got so much more money in the last quarter, because they were really busy. That's it.
Wasn't from all my complaints about the nuclear tailings, was it?
Apparently not.
Yeah. Okay, so along with Councillor Langstaff, the farm safety, it's pretty good. I like going to that stuff. I learn a lot. They forget my name sometimes, but other than that, it's all cool. Went to the Brigden Hall Board with Councillor Langus. That's a monster building. I did not even know it was that big. I've not really been upstairs. It's just downstairs where I've been. Had a county meeting, went to the rural game meeting. I'm president of that this year, so it's been kind of tailing to get them to come to St. Clair this year. I've been a runner-up a few times, and we've always traveled the forest. We've been around everywhere else, so this year is my turn, so it's in St. Clair. Had a meeting with the International Plowing Match. Last week, the county, as you all know, invoked their EOC. It was activated for the emergency significant snow event. When I come on at 8:30, there was over 300 vehicles in the ditch already. A lot of municipalities sent equipment, which was great. And we'll have to check into our insurance on equipment. If it goes to the county, are we covered? Because whatchamacallit at the county, Jason Cole, said that if anybody had sent plows out there, their insurance wouldn't have covered it. So we'll have to check into that for future use. Anyways, we had our command unit from the fire services, the drone team, and the fancy machine that goes over snow. Can't even think of the name of it now. Anyways, they loved every minute of it because they could see the lights on it now, I guess. But the OPP were fascinated with the drone, and they're still talking about it today out there. So thank you very much. Thank you, team. I'm sure they had to have saved somebody out there from being in the snow ditch. Do you have anything?
Yes, Your Worship. It was quite interesting. And first of all, we were very pleased to be able to assist the OPP. One insight that I took away from the meeting was I got the privilege of sitting in the command center with the OPP and saw a whole different side of how the traffic management goes, and this tremendous job that the Inspector Stewart did and the staff sergeants, the sergeants there, and to be included in the group was great. The images, when they came up, were stunning to the point that we could see what was going on. And one of the first images we saw on Highway 21 southbound is two tractor trailers nose to nose in the lane because they were coming down the wrong lanes, like they were trying to do it too wide. So they got backed up and out of the road, but we could do that. And some of the drone technology, we were sitting at London Line and Forest Road, and we could zoom in and look at the traffic signals at Reese's Corners and watch the traffic there, so the OPP could get the whole gamut. So we looked at the 402, we looked at London Line, and gave them the visuals that helped them with their traffic management. So it was great to be helped. That's one of the reasons we have this equipment to do, but, you know, kudos to the OPP. They did a tremendous job. I've worked with them for many years, but to watch how they worked that and the concern that they had for the citizens and how they were managing the traffic and the road closed was commendable. So we were happy to assist the county, and as I said to Inspector Stewart, we left, I said, I'd like to think this is a one-off, but somehow I don't think it'll be the last time.
No, but it was a great, like I said, I was on probably 4 or 5 Zooms that day, and they were showing the footage, and it was good. It's nice to be able to help municipalities if it's not, I know we've did a lot for our own, but when you have a municipalities that needs the help, because here it was sunny and gorgeous, and you just get out of town and it was crazy. So thank you, I appreciate it.
Thank you very much. I will pass that on to the team.
Thank you. All right, so upcoming meetings, regular meeting, session 4 is Tuesday. I'm sorry to have to move that, March 3rd, 2026 at 3 p.m. Regular meeting, session 5, March 16th at 6 p.m. And regular meeting, session 6th, April 7th, 2026 at 3 p.m. Now we have an in-camera session, section 239, to discuss the potential sale of a township parcel. So be it resolved that the meeting enter into an in-camera session to discuss section 239, to discuss the potential sale of a township parcel. Mover. Councillor Langus, thank you. Second. Councillor Foster, all those in favor? Carried.